The Yon twins have been Pokemon Draft League staples since the inception of the format. However, Latios has traditionally been noticeably better. That is until recently in Generation 9, where Latias has taken the Draft League tournament scene by storm. Why is that so? Today, we'll take a look into why Latias is better than Latios in Pokemon Draft League, at least in Generation 9. Hey guys, OGalbina here, and if you guys do enjoy today's discussion video, be sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe. We're on our way to 5,000 subs by the end of the year. We got about a month and a half until we hit that time, and we're kind of getting to crunch time. We're not quite there, so I'd really appreciate it if you enjoyed this video. You drop a sub on the channel, helps out a smaller creator like myself. That being said, let's jump into it. First, we'll take a look into Latios, what makes it so good, and why it was always seen to be superior to Latias on most builds. Just like Latias, Latios has a very solid base 110 speed. Where they differ is in their attacking and bulk stats. Latias tends to be much bulkier, with a defensive spread of 80 HP, 90 defense, and a massive 130 SPDEF. This pairs with a solid natural 110 special attack stat, allowing it to hit decently hard and be a great Calm Mind sweeper. Latios leans much more into its offenses, having a whopping base 130 special attack stat. However, it's not frail. It has a bulk spread of 80 HP, 80 defense, and 110 SPDEF. If needed, Latios can be pretty darn fat. Its real draw is its crazy wall-breaking power. Those Draco Meteors are often unmatched in older gens, along with Psychic as a stab option. Alongside great coverage in Surf, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, the hidden powers in Gen 6 and 7, and Mystical Fire and Aura's Field for pesky skills in Darks in Gen 8, Latios felt truly unwallable in prior generations. It could exert pressure in a multitude of ways. It could rock a nasty Choice Spec set, be a great revenge killer with a Choice Scarf, or be a bulky Calm Mind variant with leftovers or Resist Berry. Heck, even agility weakness policy sets were absolutely demonic. It was also a big benefactor of the Generation 7 mechanic in Z moves, giving it a super huge boost to 1 attack. This could be a monstrous devastating Drake coming off of Draco Meteor for no downside, or it could use its coverage for a boosted attack to help flip some matchups. For example, Electrium Z Gigavolt Havocs for Celesteela, and that's only a taste of its offensive prowess. Latias had similar versatility and saw some Draft League success over the course of Generation 6, 7, and 8. The reason it was typically not preferred over Latios really just came down to the offenses. Latias was considerably bulkier, which was great on select team styles, but most preferred the pure carnage that Latios could bring to a matchup. Let's look at how much of a difference these offenses could make. Here's a calc for Latios dropping a Specs Draco versus a neutral bulky Pokemon, Mew. It's a pretty comfortable OHKO after rocks. Now if we compare that to Latias, it only kills it with a roll. The mineral in both has a massive difference of 10%. Now again, is Latias bad in old gens? Not at all. Latias was always preferred because of his immense strength, while still having the ability to be somewhat bulky. Well, what changed? Did Latias get a crazy buff? Not really. Mistball's buff this generation was awesome, but Luster Purge's buff was debatably more impactful for Latios. Realistically, the most important buff it got was Terra. Latias gaining the ability to change its typing to facilitate more setup opportunities was incredible for a Pokemon as bulky as it was. Terra Electric can make Latias have 0 weaknesses in conjunction with its Levitate ability, making Calm Mind Bolt Beam sets incredible and almost unkillable. What about status? Just hit it with a Toxic. Well, first off, the move isn't as widely distributed anymore. Most spawns that get it are poisons that risk getting blown up by Latias' Psychic Stab. And secondly, that's where the other 2 most prevalent Terra typings come in, Poison and Steel. Both give Latias the benefit of being able to completely avoid Toxic and being poisoned. On top of that, they're incredible typings defensively. Both lose their ground weakness due to Latias' aforementioned Levitate ability. On top of that, it allows Latias to Terra out of its previous Fairy weakness into a Resist. You still do retain weaknesses unlike Electric, but in some matchups, that's plenty to ensure you'll avoid Toxics, allowing you to set up much more comfortably. In this most recent season of DPL, the Draft League scene's highest level competitive tournament, Latias put on a clinic. It was only drafted to 3 teams, but in the games that it was brought, it had 15 wins and only 3 losses. That is a staggering 83% win rate, leading it to the top of the Scarlet and Violet Pokemon stat board by a wide margin. Latias is incredible at leveraging its incredible bulk to use the generation's main mechanic incredibly. We've talked about the ever-oppressive defensive variants of Latias, but not the offensive. Again, Latios is much better offensively, but Latias still packs a pretty decent punch. This is especially the case if you expect Latias to be a slow setup variant and try to stop it by pivoting into offense or maybe a fast encore. Getting hit from a Life Orb Draco that's potentially Terra boosted can be massively game changing. It can even use Terra to get an additional Terra Blast coverage move. I myself have once used Terastal Blast alongside Draco Meteor and Life Orb to play a team that had a Diancie as a conventional Dragon check. Latias' stats by being a little bit more defensive can also help it out offensively. Even if it's not specking into its bulk heavily, its natural high defenses are incredibly clutch in allowing it to take almost any hit thrown at it, especially considering Terra. This in conjunction with a strong attack that is likely going to 2-KO the other faster offensive threat can be game changing. Latias might be stronger and can also get the KO, but is much more likely to get Oko in a lot of scenarios. Having to account for both of these variants of Latias can feel rather suffocating, as guessing wrong can be game changing and it's hard to fit answers for both variants, at least while having a cohesive team that beats the other 7 to 10 Pokemon on your opponent's roster. Now, if we were just going to say Latias is better than Latios because it's allowed to Terra, this would be a very boring and pointless video. I would actually like to continue the argument and say that Latias is more valuable than Latios even if no Terra is involved in the equation. There are 3 main reasons we've actually seen a recent resurgence of non-Terra Latias. We'll go over them here. Number 1, the utility. Latias obviously carries a little more bulk, as we mentioned earlier. It can function as the dual screens hyper offense facilitator much better than its frailer brother. It also has access to an incredibly potent support move that Latios does not, Healing Wish. Healing Wish is a move that feints the user, but in exchange heals a Pokemon in the back. Those of you who've been around the channel know Healing Wish is probably my favorite move in Draft League, and for good reason too. The ability to be able to use your offense more aggressively to break for itself, then saving it to Healing Wish it up later is so valuable on more hyper offensive builds. Oh, you were able to beat my Gouging Fire early game? Have fun beating it again, but this time likely without your main check to it available. This plus that dual screens combo makes Latias an incredible support piece. Number 2, its bulk. Both Latias and Latios have a lot more trouble picking up KOs with their previously elite power level Draco Meteors. Where Latias and Latios differ in those choice specs and scarf breaking sets is while Latias is a fair bit weaker, it also doesn't die or get 2-KO by every strong attack. Its bulk really helps it actually be able to find multiple opportunities to throw off attacks. Take a look at this recent DCL Finals game. For this scenario, we will assume the Great Tusk has no attack investment based on previous turn calcs, and that the Latias/Latios has 0 bulk. We are in a very close endgame, where Tusk was able to get up 2 rapid spins to get to +2 speed. This ensures it will outpace any Latias or Latios set. Now, this Great Tusk didn't have Mega Horn, but let's say it did. Latios has the chance to just die, whereas Latias always lives his hit, securing an endgame win for Bacon here, barring an unlucky crit. Keep in mind, this is a fringe example. Obviously, Latios could be spec'd to live a no-attack Mega Horn, but just as easily, Latias could live a no-attack Mega Horn after Rocks with just a bit more bulk. You see a ton of examples of this in practice when using Latias. It's still able to dish out solid damage in some matchups, while having the bulk to give it opportunities to actually dish out said damage. Number 3, the price point. Latias is considerably cheaper, despite being arguably better than Latios. In the aforementioned DCL, Latios was priced at 14, whereas you can snag Latias at a cheaper 12, opening up your budget a bit for a Pokemon that's bare minimum very comparable to Latios in viability, if not better. Getting the most value out of your draft capital is pivotal in Draft League, so saving any points you can is going to be a win. Terra Latias is very, very good, like meta-defining good. But it's not just leagues and tournaments allowing it to Terra that makes Latias a step above Latios this gen. We actually see its previously glossed over and ignored bulk and utility has a big part to play in finally making it a bit better, or at least more valuable, than its brother for the first time ever. Thank you guys so much for watching this discussion type video. Let me know what you think. If you've used Latios this gen, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I didn't really mention it here, but the most recent time I used Latios, without Terra of course, I was very disappointed in it, but I've seen a lot of really, really cool performances with Latias, and yeah, I wanted to kind of discuss this. We've kind of been talking about it on the podcast. L5 kind of put me onto this idea in general too, so big shouts to him. I'm going to link him in the description below. I'm sure you guys have seen him on the 2-KO otherwise though, but he's making a lot of really, really fun discussion videos and especially streams, so go check him out down there. And yeah, if you guys did enjoy, again, drop a like, subscribe if you're new. See you guys next time. Later.